So I've always used to chase self-improvement, but over time I realized like recently that I've been starting to get a bit disillusioned with it. And in this video, I'll just share some of my reasons why. So this whole idea of self-improvement, right? It just focuses a lot on like what is the idea of improvement in the first place. It hinges on this notion of a benchmark. Yeah, and then wait, I'm filming something. Yeah, later. Yeah, and this notion of a benchmark. So when we have this benchmark, it means that it's something that you want to work towards, like an ideal, right? So let's say right now, maybe I'm somebody who can bench 100 kg, and then I want to be able to bench 200 kg or 150 kg. So that's my benchmark at this point in time. And when I am chasing self improvement, it doesn't make sense to have improvement unless you have this benchmark. Okay, so that's the first thing, right? To keep in mind. And then how do we achieve this benchmark? Is just by, let's say, doing more exercises, sleeping more, eating better, all these kind of like routines and plans that we have. And once we have this plan and everything, what happens if, let's say, for somebody who really chases self improvement, what happens if they are not able to achieve this routine as they set out? Like maybe one day they hang out with their friends, and because of that they're unable to get their 8 hours of sleep, or unable to get their protein amount of healthy protein, let's say. So how would they feel if you actually like really are so invested in this self-improvement movement? Well, I can tell from personal experience, like I feel like super stressed, super guilty, and I'll be like I remember like I would constantly want to go stop studying. Okay, no, not stop studying. So like, let's say I had to stop studying to go out with my friends to eat dinner or something, like hang out, chill at whatever lah. And then after that, Sunny, after 1 hour, we are still hanging out together. But based on my plan that I set out for that day, I wanted to go back, return home by 1.5 hours after meeting them, and start studying again. But I'm still out of the mall 1 hour with them, and then 2 hours pass, 3 hours pass, and I'm thinking in my head, yo, I want to go back because this is sacrificing, coming at the expense of my ability to improve or self-improve. So that's the idea. But actually, why do you even like think like this, right? It's just, I guess, because of the idea of the benchmark. So what do you set as the benchmark? And any benchmark is essentially a normative and like a judgments sort of thing. So what I mean by this is like it's not something that is set in stone and universal and unchanging for everybody. So it's like, let's say I feel that maybe lifting heavy or being big is good. For this other guy, maybe he has a different priority. He wants to, I don't know, hang out more with his friends, be a nicer person, that kind of thing. So everybody has different benchmarks, which is no problem. Like everybody can sort of chase multiple benchmarks at once. But another thing that I was a bit concerned about with self-improvement over time is that I realized that some of these benchmarks actually like for like lifting heavy or being nice to your friend, those you can say, oh, it's unquestionable, right? It's good. But I realized that some of these benchmarks are actually a little more questionable than I thought. And just chasing them blindly, right, may not be actually improving, but it may actually be like deproving, like regressing, like getting worse in certain standards. So just an example, like it may sound quite ridiculous, but this is a legit example. So I used to do some volunteering with groups who are like from less privileged backgrounds. So a lot of them, in a sense, the way they interact is very different. So it's like, for me, I used to always use like proper grammatical complete sentences and all that kind of thing. And I realized, and I was trying to work towards that, like look at all those like people who talk so well, and I want to follow that, because those are people that I idolize. They are my benchmarks. But then in the case of those, let's say the people that I'm working with, when I'm doing like volunteering or whatever, or any interaction of any sort, right? People who don't subscribe to these kind of ideals of like posh talking. Then when I talk to them like that, I realize, well, it creates a barrier between me and them. Like I'm unable to connect with them. They feel that they're unable to connect with me, and it's just bad overall. Like I even for myself. Let's say I go to some place and the people are all speaking with like some posh accent that this like Singaporean accent is no match for, right? Then I just feel like, oh, I just can't connect with them, and there's a gap. So essentially what I'm saying is like this self-improvement, right? Some of these benchmarks are more questionable than you may think. So what happened in that case was like I went to try and change to be able to code switch, to be able to talk in a less posh way. But what that came at the expense of after doing it for 2 years, that I actually forgot how to like talk like in a completely grammatical sentences, as you can probably see right now, right? So I guess that's in a sense like well, I mean, you can call it code switching or whatever. You can call it failing at code switching. Then you could also argue like maybe if I want to code switch properly, I could try and like increase my ability to code switch so I can do both. Yeah, but then there's also issues of authenticity and all that. And well, anyway, I just feel that sometimes the benchmark itself is related. Is not always like improving. It's not always mean that you're improving. And another thing that is not about the benchmark, but it's about the way you get to the benchmark. As I also said, like let's say I'm spending this time that I could be sacrificing this time that I could be using to spend with my friends, to leave them early and go and study. Is that a good thing? Is that really a good thing? I don't know. To a neoliberal hustler, it is lah. But over time I realized like there's maybe it's just causing me a lot of stress. And what's the point of always improving, chasing this kind of improvement? So anyway, I want to link this to another point, okay? Because I mean like yapping on and on about this for way too long. So another point I want to talk about is the idea of how it can come at it, like the whole mindset of chasing improvement, chasing after something that we are not yet. For instance, 150 kg bench press, right? Is in some sense it affects our mindset also. Like it's not just about the actions of us, sacrificing this time for whatever purpose, but it also subconsciously alters how we see the world. Like that's my opinion. So I feel like when I always am chasing for something that I am not, that I do not yet have, it makes me feel like, oh, I always need to be striving for more and more. And this striving, right, this whole chase is founded upon this notion of like dissatisfaction with the current self, in my opinion. You may not call it dissatisfaction, you may call it inadequacy or whatever, or you may call it a term with a less severe connotation to it. But my whole point is like, it's always saying that in some sense, you are not yet the person you could potentially be. You're not yet the ideal, right? And it's also this idea of how our happiness, which is like the whole point why we're doing all this improvement, right? I mean, I don't know, at least how I see is like a lot of people are doing it for some happiness or some other meaning in life or whatever lah. And all these kind of things, the whole like is contingent on us reaching the ideal that we are not yet. So I okay, it's a bit convoluted, but what I mean by this, so for instance, let's say I'm able to bench 100 kg now. Am I happy? No, because I'll only be happy if I'll be able to bench 150. And then once I'm able to bench 150, will I be happy? No, because by then, before I even reach there, I'll be thinking about 175, that kind of thing, right? Okay, and even if somehow you are satisfied, let's say you win Olympic gold medal, you're satisfied. But even so, I feel that it just creates the mindset, the mindset, the ideology. Okay, not mindset. I can't think of the term, but essentially, it makes you feel that your happiness is contingent on something, right? Even if you reach at something, it still means that your happiness cannot exist unless that thing exists, right? So if you don't have the Olympic gold medal, you're not happy. If you take that away from you, something's wrong. Identity crisis, existential crisis, all that sort of thing. And I feel that as long as our happiness or meaning of life or whatever is contingent on something that is achievable or in the real world, then it's also possible for it to be taken away. And I just feel like if we are to settle for this level of self-improvement or improvement in general, then that won't exactly be the highest level. Okay, but obviously this concerning a lot of like metaphysical and like philosophical stuff. So I don't know, like you may disagree with me and everything. But I'm going to go into my final sort of argument, which is even more like philosophical, which is not really so concerned with the improvement part, but self. So like self-improvement, right? So I'm talking about self now. So this whole idea of self, in relation to improvement, of course, I feel that it sort of like hammers home. Okay, firstly, it's very easy for it to increase one's pride and ego in a layman sense, right? Like, oh, I do this, so I'm so much better than all these like basic normies or whatever. Okay, but obviously, not everybody will be like that lah. Like, there will be a lot of people who are able to hustle and chase their dreams while still very, very, very humble, right? Another layer though is also that I feel that this idea of self and the constant harping on the self sort of overlooks the how to say, the interconnectedness of a lot of things. So for instance, if I am able to bench 100 kg, I'm like, yo, or 150 kg, like, yo, it's all my achievement. Then I'm really happy for myself. Maybe I'm not egoistic, but I'm really happy that I'm able to do it. But how about all the people that help me along the way? How about like the fellow gym goers, my spotters, the gym staff, the people who created the equipment, so on and so forth, right? Which is endless. But obviously, a lot of people are very thankful and for all the things that helped them along the way, and that also won't apply to them. And somehow, but even so, right? I feel that the last charge that I'm about to say is like a little bit more damning in the sense that it's very hard to overlook for somebody who approaches things from the point of view of self-improvement. Okay, which is the idea that like everyone, no, like me is separate from everyone else, right? This idea of the self. Okay, so it's going to very philosophical terms here. It's like Hegelian philosophy, Buddhist philosophy, blah blah blah. But essentially, I feel that it creates a false distinction between oneself and reality, right? Whereas in actual reality, right? Reality, so to speak, there isn't such a distinction, and the constant chase for self-improvement blindsides ourselves to these metaphysical insights, and therefore, you know, paradoxically, by chasing this improvement, it actually limits us in terms of the wisdom or whatever you can achieve, so to speak. Yeah. I don't know if I mentioned this already, but I think I didn't stress this enough on the idea of like doing something for the sake of something else. So for instance, as I said, when in the plan, so maybe I'm doing this gymming so that I can get better. So is this for that? It's like a transactional value, you know. It extends beyond this context. So I feel like if we keep doing that in a daily life, right, the hustling, it extends beyond even when we are intentionally doing it to other aspects of our life, like for instance our social aspect. I mean, like you can tell that, I mean, you can see all around you, especially like business people, sometimes you doubt their sincerity, like you doubt whether they're doing this because they actually care for you, or because, you know, they're just trying to get another potential client. So this is the same concept I'm talking about, the idea of transactional actions and relations, not necessarily relations, but in general. So, and I also feel like, let's say we are never doing something for itself, right? Then I mean, it's almost as Alan Watts said, right? Like, when are you going to start living? People always fail to live because they're always preparing to live, something like that. You're always looking towards the future, and you're sacrificing your current happiness for it. So you're saying that this future happiness will be better than current happiness. I'm not gonna sleep in now. I'm not going to eat this chicken wing that I really, really enjoy because I believe that will lead to future happiness. Now, obviously, with all that said, like, there's so many positives that comes out of self-improvement, right? Like, let's say I'm just like some lazy dude who just lies in bed and does a lot of, like, I don't know, like, not things that are not very like helpful to myself the whole day, you know. Like I don't know, like, okay, I'm like eating potato chips the whole day or something like that, or just like scamming people the whole day, that kind of thing. Like, there's definitely some value in this self-improvement track, but I'm just saying, like, if it's and it can help a lot of people, it can give a lot of people direction, but I'm thinking like it's something like it's like a map, right, or a finger that pointing at a shore. Like, if it's a map, right, you're gonna use the map to get there, but once you're at the place itself, right, you're not gonna continue using the map and try to look at, okay, this landmark is there, this landmark is there. If you really want to understand the place, just go look at the place itself, explore the sites and everything. Take away the map. Self-improvement, in my opinion, is the same thing. The map, the finger, it's like a benchmark. It's not the shore itself. It's not the place itself. So beyond a certain point, self-improvement needs to dissolve, needs to dissolve. So that's my general opinion on it, and it's kind of weird opinion, I guess, but I just making this video because like I just feel like I see a lot of people around me hustling and hustling and hustling until like I'm thinking like, why are they doing all this for? Do they even realize like it's just doing this to get for the sake of something else? But at the end of the day, their happiness that they're chasing is like forever being deferred to like a promised Neverland or something. So that's just my opinion on it. This video has gone on for way too long. I kind of long-winded and everything, but yeah, thanks for watching.